If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. They really are going all in, obviously, with the outbreak there. It doesn't seem to be any chance at all this is going to go away as far as the social distancing and the mask, as you've seen. Now, there are a few things that are going on that are going to be new restrictions coming. I'm going to tell you about the other one in a minute. But first, I want to talk about the states in the Midwest, states like Iowa, Central America, states like that which have continually pushed away from this. I don't know if any of you have been to any of these states. I haven't since this whole thing happened. But a lot of people who are from there have said that they don't have mandates. You could look up for yourself that there aren't a lot of mandates. Now they're making the push to go after these people in states like Iowa. We've seen them do it in Texas already. What they do is they come out and they tell you that statistics show that, oh, these people, the ones who decided to not wear the mask and make it mandatory and pushed back, these are the states now at the highest numbers. So suddenly Iowa now has the highest rate of cases in the U.S. And how convenient, the headline says, the White House task force report warns of dire new case increases across rural and urban areas of the state and calls for mask mandate. Well, of course they will, because it's going to be mandated in every state. In states where it's already been mandated, trust me, it's normal now for people. They're used to doing it. They don't mind doing it. That's how sick this is. Me personally, I'm not going anywhere that requires it. I'm doing my best not to. I know you can say, well, Carl, how do you go to the grocery store if they try to throw you out? Well, you order it online, or you get someone to pick it up for you, or maybe you just, say, all right, arrest me and see what actually happens. Maybe they won't take your order at the checkout. I don't know. I haven't read too many stories about people who have refused, but what I've seen and read is that people who actually go into these stores and refuse to wear the mask are actually being more attacked, not just by, store employees saying you need a mask, and then they go, I don't care. Actual customers, because they're so indoctrinated with this poison they're seeing on the news, customers going up to them saying, where's your mask? Why don't you have your mask on? That's how ridiculous this has got, but that's how mind control and social engineering works. Now, here's the next thing that's going to come. And this has nothing to do with your take on whether people, Christians who listen to channel, whether you should drink or not, and anything like that. This is about your rights and freedoms as a citizen, because remember, they're taking away our rights. They're stripping our rights. And that's why people who are anti-gun should be pro, because they should be pro the people being able to arm themselves against this tyranny that exists as a government that is completely attacking its own citizens in a silent warfare, which has been going on for a long time, but now more than ever. They are talking more and more. I don't know if you've heard in the media, but even CNN just did an article about it, about possible prohibition in America, which means no cigarettes, no liquor. Now, I know people will be like, no, it's a great thing. That's a great thing. But what it is just more imprisonment of citizens. And the more they take away our rights, the less rights we have. And then and time goes by, people just get used to it. That's what you've seen with the mask. That is why this is such a problem. I've heard gyms are opened up now. Oh, gyms are back open, but you wear a mask in the gym. Wear a mask in the gym? You guys gonna have a stroke in the gym? Good luck on the treadmill wearing a mask. But people are like, well, you have to. It's normal now. It's normal. It's normal. It's normal. Well, the same thing will happen with things like prohibition and the other things. Rights removed. Self-imprisonment, 1984. So what they're doing is they're using stories from South Africa, which is one of the world's strictest C-19 lockdowns, or has one of the strictest ones, where they pretend like here, they're acting like, oh, it's not so strict in America because of Trump, and that's why they can't get rid of it. It's all prop. We all know it's propaganda. That's all that it is. And they're saying, as the threat of the pandemic loomed in March, the government in South Africa sealed national borders, restricted public transport in a particularly controversial move, they banned the sale of alcohol as well. So these are the types of restrictions you could expect here. Restriction on public transport, sealing national borders. How about sealing state borders? Because that's going to come. They're already making you quarantine when you enter certain states from state to state. So what would the next logical step be? It would be to shut down the borders of the state from any outside people. That's exactly what's going to come. This turns into a military state, a police state. Right? But just without the police, because sooner or later the police will be gone and the military will be in, even though it's all one and the same head of the snake. So the government believes that the drinking restrictions significantly reduced pressure on the country's hospitals and hailed the result of the policy a success. They're saying temporary drinking restrictions are back in vogue worldwide thanks to the virus. Social distancing has also dramatically altered people's drinking consumption habits, though researchers believe it's too early to say whether the impact will be permanent. Well, of course, because they have to ease everyone in. So they mentioned the other countries, Thailand and India. They had similar bans earlier in the year. Some had the bans and released the bans. But the whole point is that they're releasing this type of news to say, oh, look, the hospitals were less empty. There weren't people in the hospitals because there weren't all these things that go on with alcohol-related events, right? So they say, it is vital that we do not burden our clinics and hospitals with alcohol-related injuries that could have been avoided because we need all the doctors and nurses to be able to help all of these people that nobody knows or has seen who actually have this, right? And again, this isn't about your take on, well, that's great because, I don't drink and it's not great. That's totally different than looking at it from the perspective of your rights and imprisonment. Because the more things that get removed, the more normal it becomes for them to take things away that are normal in people's lives. And the more time that goes by, it just turns into a normal lifestyle. Think of what it's going to be like 20 years from now, right? And if any of us are still here, which most of us probably won't be, you tell somebody who's 15, 20 years old then, or in 20 years from now, or 30 years from now, whatever. Point being, you tell them what life was like in the 90s and the 80s and 2000s. They won't even believe it. Because they're going to be used to growing up in this imprisoned society where they still think they're free. Because remember, they have to keep the illusion of a republic. That's why the voting and stuff, they continue to shove down your throat. Because people always message me and they go, well, if you don't believe that it's real, Trump, you think we're all in and on together, why do they emphasize voting so much? Because they want you to believe that it's a republic, that it's not controlled. Because otherwise, if you don't believe it's a republic, suddenly you see this tyranny going on. I always mispronounce it. You see all this going on, the people do uprise and go against this because they don't want to be in prison. So they tell you they're doing it in your best interest. You select who the president is via your vote. It counts. You have the choice to go to a grocery store and pick between A, B, or C type soda or water or milk or anything else. That is all how this entire process works. They're talking about people in South Africa. One of the most poignant things that they've seen is a significant reduction in hospital admissions. And all this is coming because the ban has pretty much, like I said, this is exactly what they're trying to use to manipulate people's head. This quote is pretty much it. The ban definitely had a major impact. There was a dramatic reduction in alcohol-related trauma admissions to hospitals that would have included alcohol-based violence, domestic violence, and car accidents, and then they say, and so on, because of the dangers involved with alcohol. That is how this is going to continue to work. These are the things that are going to continue to happen. The article goes on to say, crackdown on social drinking. Governments and local officials have justified such restrictions they want humans separated from one another. They want humans to become one with technology. This is the mark of the beast. This is happening right now. This isn't a conspiracy anymore. You can see it. That's why it's funny, and you keep hearing people go, oh, these crazy conspiracy nuts, oh, these crazy Christians, because they don't believe in the mark of the beast. And they've been desensitized to this stuff because they've seen all these ridiculous movies with man and machine becoming one, men dating robots. People, their phones becoming their best friend, and they're talking to your Alexa like it's a human being, all right? So this thing is just going to keep going in phases upward as we head towards the election. There's people who are actually so naive, they think that all this is going to end after the election because this is just an attack on Trump. So when the election comes, it's going to stop. The only way it would stop is if people push back. No one in this country is pushing back, and that's why it's not going to stop. Citizens are doing what the government wants. They're becoming their own little, militia groups, wearing masks, attacking people who don't wear masks. We've seen all the videos of people in grocery stores with no mask, and then a bunch of people yell at them and scream at them, right? This is what the propaganda has done to these people. They are completely 100% under mind control. They are not thinking with free will. They do not have independent thought. And that's a fact, and it's easy to see because they don't question this stuff, right? You still don't see anybody around you with it. You haven't gotten it. But you only hear stories. Oh, I know so-and-so, a cousin. It's the same thing you hear about any of these events that happen at these schools, right? You'll see comments in the comment sections under videos. I know a person in another town that went there with my cousin. Yeah, sure. Was his name Gumby? I mean, who? What? John Doe? George Glass? Yeah, I know him too. It's a joke, an utter joke. So you can expect prohibition-type restrictions. You can expect states in the Midwest like Iowa, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin. I guarantee this stuff is just going to spread because the East Coast, it's pretty much, that's how it is on the East Coast and the West Coast right now. And they've integrated this into Texas. And now they just need to go to what you would even call the Bible Belt and convince all these people that it needs to be mandatory because you're selfish if you don't do it. It's the propaganda in the commercials. It's the propaganda we see everywhere. It's sick. It's unbelievable. But this is what's happening right now, folks. You got to be aware of what's happening. You can't wear down. You got to they're keeping their foot on the pedal. All right, well, you know what we need to do then? We need to fill the road with roadblocks and cement cylinders. See if they can smash through that. But unfortunately, instead, everyone else would rather concede to it. I want to thank everyone for listening to today's show. Reminder, check out my website at callfornuprising.com, $2.99 a month. Good forum over there, can interact with others. I want to thank the Patreons. Remind you, this channel also does have a Teespring store if you haven't checked it out. It obviously helps get the word out about the channel and helps the channel out. So that's all appreciated. All of you are appreciated. Love you guys. Crazy times, man. Thank you again for listening. God bless all of you and your families.